Hi, Becky.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Hi, Anna.
Hello.
So
Hey,
there
Anna.
was an email from Steve Sullivan. Something has come up, so he won't be able to attend. And Frank has a group get together to see a movie somewhere in New York. So we have a quorum, so we can get started. And I see we don't have any guests, so we'll just move on to reviewing the minutes. Did everyone have an opportunity to look at the minutes?
Yes.
Because I made quite a few changes, and I only had one question. But I didn't know if anybody else had any changes. So Becky, you made a comment. Do you have the well, I'll just tell you what it is, if you can.
Okay.
So when we were discussing the format for the reporting, I made a comment, cladding, then using comments will identify different sides of the building. And then you made the comment, shared the sheets, or that's what it says. Does that ring a bell?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull up the minutes so I can know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Oh, is Frank's, are the minutes in the shared? Now I'm asking the same question again, aren't I?
He sent a email several days ago, a couple days ago, with the minutes
Yeah,
in a
here it is.
form that we could alter them.
In the shared document. And now it's open. So your question, Steve, is on what line?
So when I made a comment, cladding, and then using comments will identify different side of the building. And then your comment was shared the sheets.
Shared the sheets, huh? Oh, maybe I was talking about sharing the information on Google Docs. On cladding. Cladding. Anna, your comment was walls, IDing materials or structure.
And my response was that it would be the cladding of the walls.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure
Familiar. Yeah.
what I was reaching for there. Did you want to put these up online? I mean, do you want to share the screen with the minutes, or do others not have issues? There seem to be issues.
I don't have them handy, but I could find them.
On screen, I have them.
Well,
But
tell me,
Steve,
I have not shared the screen before. I see where it says share screen. So if I hit that, then I need to bring up the
Then you'll see, they'll show you your desktop and the documents will be labeled and then you just put your cursor on the
All right,
document.
let me try this because I.
Yeah.
Oh, it said that the host disabled participant screen sharing.
I will give you screen sharing. There you go. And then there's a second, once you select the document, then I think it's a blue tab that's on,
Oh, desktop,
yeah.
click desktop.
No, it's another shared document, but it's on, it'll be like on your desktop, on the black screen of Zoom. You did it.
Getting there. Cool. Okay, everybody see those?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
good. I could go through and just, I mean, I've made the changes, so you won't see the changes I've made, but I could go through and list changes I've made, or we can just go to that particular. So my cursor is next to the
Share
comment.
the sheets. So we were talking about the
Yeah, we started talking about exterior.
Maybe you screen shared the sheets that the draft that Stephen had made, and maybe you just pulled them up so that we all had a visual on them.
I think that's what happened. I think you're right, Anna.
Okay.
So that's when I shared the screen.
Ah, okay. So do we even need that in there?
No. What's particularly, probably won't find it funny, but I was at a meeting last night where the person taking minutes has determined that she won't use attributions. And there was quite a to-do about it.
What are attributions?
That's when you identify who is speaking. And
Oh.
this particular set of minutes is 100% attributions.
Mhm.
So it's kind of funny.
Okay. Unless somebody sees something they'd like to change, I'm feeling comfortable with them now.
Thermostats is spelled wrong.
Me too.
Under Jeff Quackenbush.
Oh, got it. Needs that R.
Yeah.
Oh, that was. Also here where Anna says she has to leave for the, do we need to, should that stay in there?
That's fine.
Okay,
It's just scheduling.
okay.
Unless Anna wants it out, then.
That's fine.
Okay. Everybody need any more time to look at those? I could go back to the beginning and give you time if you want.
I'm good.
No, I make a motion, we accept these minutes.
Second.
Yes.
Good, keep moving.
All in favor?
Everybody.
Okay. So let me switch to the
There was a lane.
building
related to the
assessment
roll call.
forms.
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to do a roll call vote,
Oh,
actually,
no, we're not.
but Jeff, Frank did bring that, I mean, the old building committee didn't follow any rules, kind of, I mean, they didn't do their voting until they were reminded of it, and they had to go back and approve all their minutes. But you did a vote.
Well, we can do it. So I would call the vote, right? So it's Cook,
Here,
Dalmas, I, Quackenbush.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, now you're so on top of it. Thank you.
Watch Taurus say not a.
Well, you don't want my vote. It won't do you any good.
So the building assessment forms that Frank set up, in general, I think they look really good. I did go through and correct some typos. I don't know if other people spend any time with these. But on this first one, I actually, filled in a few things.
Mhm.
And, I talked with him briefly the other day. So he decided that when you use one of the rating terms, it will always say what the term is. So someone doesn't have to remember or go and look for it. But what the nice thing is, you can see where I just double click next to chimneys and it gives you the options. So if this was, a minor maintenance item, you click that and it drops in. And then as you go across, if we felt there was a reason to rate remaining life on the chimney, we could put that in. And then I found initially he has, I don't know what you call this, but this is comments is E. And I'd asked him, when I set them up, I had the component or material. And, because there's sometimes not a clear component or material, he said he thought, and maybe we discussed that, I don't remember clearly, that could just be in comments. So you can see where under the roofing type, I have asphalt shingles, steep slope, and then missing shingles less than 10 on south side at base, just as a way to put that information in there.
Mhm.
Steve, does it say up above which building this is?
No, it's down at the bottom, and maybe that's something, if you go all the way down at the bottom. can you see
Okay, it
where
is the town hall.
it's town hall, and then as you move to each one, it would bring up, I guess, a new set of a new set of sheets.
Okay.
Well, let's see here. I'll just click on elementary school. Yeah. So that's how it came to us, where he had put a couple things in. So I
Cool.
just moved to elementary school. So that's back to building assessment for the town hall.
So in case you're curious, the chimney in the town hall still is leaking.
Really?
But when after my ceiling collapsed and my wall, when we rebuilt, the building committee they put a cap on the chimney,
Mhm.
but they said the flashing was fine because it had just been redone 2 or 3 years ago. But everybody I talked to says we need to redo the flashing because it's still leaking.
Somewhere is there a date? Like when we do a
Mm,
walkabout, so someone knows how old these comments are?
that's a great idea.
That's critical.
I wonder if
think-
it if it might make sense to rename the tabs that say Town Hall Elementary School with the date. That way, if we do a second inspection, you keep the record of the old inspection instead of overwriting it. Unless that, I don't know, maybe this document becomes too long and cumbersome if we do that, but just a thought.
Mhm.
Well, I think, having a date, very good idea. I was also wondering if, what if you're, I guess if we're at a building and you're putting information in to the form, you're not flipping from town hall to elementary school. But what if you are at the town hall, but you have this, and you put a certain amount of information in town hall, but then you accidentally change to elementary school and start adding information. So I was wondering if it would be better if the identifier for the building we're at is more prominent,
Sure.
maybe like up top, and that could also have a date
Yeah,
that evaluation is being done.
I like that. I almost would do both, almost for like intentional redundancy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just insert a line at the top where it's building name, date, and maybe who's in attendance. That way, if there's a question someone needs to clarify, they know at least a starting point of who to talk to.
Oh, that's good.
So Anna, I think brought up something I didn't think about. Are we going to be overwriting when something takes place?
You don't want to be, because you want to, unless you solve an issue and then take it off the list, but
It almost gets like reforms itself because it's no longer urgent, but it's going to be in 20, we'll do the roof. And then in 30 years, we need to do the roof again. It might like shapeshift into a future project.
and Anna, when you said about putting the date and who did the work up at the top with the building, but like, it seems like we need another column with dates that we start to address the issues that are found. I don't know.
Is that what the remaining life is? Are you referring to like remaining life or other dates?
No, I'm like, say for the chimney.
Mhm.
So if we get a roofer in to flash the chimney and we want to update, say we flashed the chimney November 2022. And then it still leaks. And then, so it's still an open issue. And then you have another comment. What do you do? Where do you put that?
Well,
Wouldn't
how about,
comments? Can't you just keep expanding comments to
well, how
identify?
about,
Linearly?
well, how about we have comments, and then the next section would be work performed.
Okay.
And the comments, we're not limited to one. We could either insert a line if there's more to write, or just expand the height of a line if there's multiple comments to make.
It immediately goes, well, it immediately creates its own new line. For instance, going back here to the asphalt shingle one. Let's see if I can do this. See that? I thought the last time I tried this, and Frank can probably, it just drops to a new line.
So if you press return, I think it will.
Oh, okay. Well, let me try that. There you go.
Okay, that seems like a reasonable compromise because you can have a note, and if there's action that's taken, we can date it and note that here.
So
Right,
work,
so,
work performed is going to be a date, or work performed is going to be a description and a date?
Or do we just have a small column with a date? Or put it in there?
but how about that?
That's
Shingles
fine, that's
replaced.
fine with me.
Yeah.
What you got there?
That looks good.
So I guess
Okay.
one question would be is, after we've looked at a building, initially, would it be good to print out a hard copy that then sort of becomes the, the initial inspection, and then we could even add notes, handwritten notes to it, update it on the computer at some point.
So what's the purpose of the hard copy?
I just always use hard copies.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Mhm.
It's an old person's thing,
Yeah, it's us old people, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe in paper. No, not me.
Oh, you don't believe in paper, huh? Okay.
Anybody want to see my office? It's like I'm drowning in paper. I apologize, but this whole thing about computers replacing paper hasn't really worked for me yet. But maybe I can still learn. So can this work? This can work on an iPad as well? Or do you need Excel to do? And do iPad? I don't have an iPad, so I'm asking people who have
I
one.
haven't tried to, oh, wait a minute. I actually sent this to my iPad. Well, I forget what it's called. I
This is
shared
just
it
a
to my
Google Doc.
iPad. Pardon?
This is a Google Doc, is it not? Or Google
Right.
Sheets?
But I-
That's right. So that's why we can do it on anywhere.
So I got it on, I have it on my iPad.
Beautiful. Because
Yeah.
it's a Google Doc.
So is the next step, we pick a building and go test this thing out?
Yes. I
Yeah.
think, I think Frank could make maybe a few changes. I think, maybe moving the buildings up to the top, having a date. I like Anna's idea also of identifying who is doing the evaluation.
So I think for the test run, we ought to pick a simple building.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. That way we can, if there's any kinks in this, we can work it out.
Yeah, like the Hearst House.
I was going to suggest the old town hall.
I said simple
The old town hall.
is not simple.
Okay, I haven't been in the old town hall.
It's been modified 7 million times.
And we're talking about the building next to the post office, correct?
No, oh,
That's the old town hall.
that's the old town. Oh, you don't want that one, do you? There's ghosts in there.
No
I
wonder
was-
we haven't been able to do the project.
Hmm.
The Hearst house is definitely simple. It was redone, what, about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 9 now.
Yeah.
Is
Is there a Hearst in there? Hearst in there?
Not presently, nope. Now there's a bunch of lawnmowers, weed whackers, and leaf blowers. But there's a riding lawnmower. It's the
That's-
cemetery, all their equipment for dealing with the lawns.
Okay,
Or we could do the library, the MN Spear building. That's the most basic, has no plumbing.
I think that's not a bad project, a spear, unless there's something even more simple.
I guess the old schoolhouse, but that's had a lot of work done to it too. the prior chair of the building committee was his historical renovation specialist. So a number of the older buildings have been taken care of.
Mhm.
I think the library is not a overly complicated building. And I think we could do that.
I agree.
Okay.
Now, since we're going to have a few changes made to these forms, do we need a motion to accept these as our forms?
Yeah, like as revised, is that an okay
Well,
way to
or
put
do
that
we
up
need
together?
well, and do we just need a motion to accept the forms to use for the evaluations?
So moved.
What's moved? I thought that was an either or question.
Oh, sorry. Just trying to move it along.
I seconded then. Okay.
Okay.
So do I hear 3 ayes?
Aye, aye, aye.
I
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So- So someone's gonna have, so when we do the walkabout, someone's gonna have an iPad with them and then load this information while we're there. Is that the theory?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And who is that fool?
I think Frank actually in the minutes indicated that he would take on that task.
Works for me.
And I have a feeling Stephen's going to have a clipboard with a piece of paper on it printed from this.
Well, actually, I did, towards the end of my career, started using the iPad in conjunction with a checklist form. And as I walked around, I would take photographs, which would be my notes. And then I would just go through the photographs and put things into the iPad. And I used, does everyone know what text replacement is?
Nope.
Well, on the iPad, you can have a word, a phrase, a paragraph that you use repeatedly, and you store it, and you have a code, your own code to identify it, like two, 3, or 4 letters.
Mhm.
Type in those letters and hit any key, and whatever it is drops in.
I see. Okay.
So, if we were doing a lot of buildings and we felt that there were going to be numerous conditions that we'd run into all the time, that would be something to consider. But, developing that took me years.
Mhm.
So do we want to discuss when we want to look at a building, or should we wait till the next meeting?
Well, since we're missing 2 members, I kind of think we ought to wait till we get them.
I agree.
Is that the kind of thing we can communicate about via email, like propose a few dates? That's okay.
Yep.
'Cause maybe-
All scheduling is free game,
I'm just
but
wondering.
it might be, because I know typically Steve and Frank are around a lot. If you 3 could pick out a couple dates for them or a date and see if it works for them, it might be quicker.
Well, if we want to stick with Wednesdays, at 5:30, the next 2, I'm available the 9th and the 16th. How's that for you guys?
Well, we want to do it at 5:30 because by then it's going to be dark because we turn the clocks back. this
Oh,
week.
I forgot about that. I forgot.
And Anna, you're not available before, typically not available before 5:30, right?
Yeah, I can be. Yeah, the next 2 Wednesdays I'm available before.
About 4 o'clock on the 16th.
Yeah, that should work for me.
right?
What time did you say?
4 o'clock on the 16th,
So that gives us an hour of light.
outside, yeah.
No, it doesn't give us that much. Sundown's gonna be 4:30 next week, according to Dan Brown.
Oh, that's depressing.
Okay, 3:30?
I think Steve can make it then, because he had said 4, but they go back to 5-day weeks and, 8 instead of 10-hour days after the time changes. So he should be okay. Want to try for 3:30 or 3?
And how are we gonna get in?
Oh, the library will be open. And I have a key if it's not.
Okay.
Okay. And that's just to confirm, that's 3:30 on the 16th.
Yes.
Okay. And do we want to not meet then on the 9th, just when we miss the week? I'd blocked out every other Wednesday, but we're off of that. Do we think we're going to shift that completely, or what's our big picture plan?
Well, we could say catch up, if you will, but the problem, we won't meet on the 23rd, right?
The night before Thanksgiving?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to be away beginning the 22nd, and I won't be back until the 3rd. I mean, I'll have my iPad. I could probably attend the meeting.
But not a walkthrough.
No, I mean, I could, if we wanted to do it next Wednesday instead.
Does that get us back on schedule, Anna? If we do the 9th?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't mind. I just blocked it out because otherwise I'll lose the spots for work.
Yeah.
But if we do the 9th, we're not going to do the 23rd, correct?
Right. Well,
And-
yeah, so if we're not doing Thanksgiving week and you're gone the week after, there's a 2-week period where we'll be off the schedule again. So maybe the schedules doesn't matter. Maybe each time we meet, we pick a time, or we just have to pick something and know it's going to be imperfect.
Would it be, oh, okay.
And does the walkthrough on Wednesday count as the meeting?
Hope so.
Everybody
So-
gets 10 points, no problem.
This was pitched to me as once a month, so it's already twice as frequent. Yes.
We have to do a roll call, yay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so if we meet on the 9th, then we won't meet again until either till December or could meet on the,
7th. The 7th would be the next Wednesday. I mean, I'm available the 9th and the 16th. And then the next Wednesday I have available is the 7th. I mean, but I can always, I mean, I can attend with my iPad.
is it, so tell me, is the goal right now to tour all the buildings and fill out the building assessments?
Yeah,
That's the goal,
I'm
right?
wondering if we think this is a good working model, we meet at the library, we'll pick one of these dates, and if that goes well, then our next meetings would just be at subsequent buildings, and if it doesn't go well, we feel like we need to sit down and revise this as a group, then we go back to a Zoom. How does that sound to people?
That makes sense.
Yes,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay.
The only issue I think we're running into is it's gonna be dark.
Mm-hmm.
So the outdoor parts,
Goes first.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I would propose the 16th, just guessing that might give people the people who aren't here tonight, give them maybe a better chance of being available.
okay,
Fine with me.
Okay.
The other consideration, say after this one on the 16th, would we want to consider, because we'll be doing these building surveys, actually doing it on a weekend? Saturday. I don't know how people feel about that.
I do have keys to almost all the buildings. So I can get us, if we are meeting, if we're doing the interior of the buildings, it's not, I mean, we don't have to really worry about trying to meet early in the day.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with a weekend.
I'm honestly pretty mixed about it. My kids are in after school 5 days a week. I try to be around on the weekends.
Yep.
So I'm not totally opposed to it, but I'd probably miss more, than not.
Well, I think, except for the school, which, is a large building.
Yeah.
I think, if we start at 3 or 3:30 on the outsides of the buildings, we should be fine. And maybe the school probably will take several sessions to complete. And, if we go there several times and we start at 3 or 3:30, we do as much as we can on the outside until, that's done, and then we go inside.
That makes sense. And maybe something like the school's two different meetings just because of the size.
I think
it's-
at least 2.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more than 2.
Okay.
So are we shooting for the 16th then for MN Spear?
Yes,
So can somebody send out an email to everybody on that?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know if you noticed on the agenda, but the next thing I have down is the Old Town Hall. I received an email from Matteo Pangala, who's the chair of the Community Preservation Committee. And they would like to know if we, the building committee, intend to carry out the work on the Old Town Hall that the prior Buildings Committee proposed in a 2019 application for a CPA grant. The grant application was successful and town meeting authorized $34,000 in funds. Summarizing the grant proposal, project is described as an inspection and repair of underpinnings to the Old Town Hall. The crawl space beneath the original 1829 structure is very shallow. Dirt must be removed to allow a complete inspection of the underpinnings in order to update a 1999 report. The goal is to preserve and rehabilitate the town hall and to make it useful to the citizens as a place to meet for a variety of activities. It also states that the town building committee, using its budget, can provide funds to pay for the engineering. The estimate for the engineering study was $4,000, and the estimate for managing the project, which was to be done by Bob Groves as a contribution, was $5,000. Since the CPC wasn't using formal grant agreements at the time this grant was awarded, there's technically no legal constraint to the 3-year period that they are now requiring of awardees. Matteo has offered to attend a building committee's meeting to answer questions if we think this would be of help and if he's free at the time. Any thoughts?
So let's get back to 34,000 is supposed to do what? Underpin the building
Hang on.
and make it accessible? When donkeys fly.
So this is, remember, I think one of the big problems here is this was a proposal from 2019. Here we are in 2022 with rampant inflation, especially in building. So the amount of money would certainly, in my opinion, be insufficient. But so for the construction, the 34,000 is broken down as dig out, 15,000, piers, 5,000, framing, 15,000. That's actually 35.
So the 34 or 35 is just for the, let's call it the structural stuff.
Yeah, the engineering was 4,000, and the buildings committee, Becky can tell us about this, supposedly at the time had some monies. And Bob Groves was going to donate his time to manage the project. But that's another 4,000 for engineering and 5,000 for management.
So the engineering hasn't been done. So the state of the project is Bob went around and tried to find a contractor to do, to do the dig out portion. They never found somebody who would do it. That was one of the, an annual cycle of reaching out at least to one or two construction firms or, and so that was one of the hangups, but we never paid the engineer anything. He came one day in 2019 and said that once it got dug out, then he would do the engineering. Right. As it was being dug out, I think they needed his help to put together the plan of setting the piers, because there's concern of the condition of the supports that are under the building. And so if you go to the back of the building, there's a door, and you go down the steps and into the building, and you can stand up there and you can look under the building, and there's a whole bunch of dirt, and it's about 4 feet deep at the back end, and then it's only about a foot deep in the front. So you can't, you have to be on your stomach crawling around in there once you're 5 or more feet into the building. So that's been the hang up. I know Steve Sullivan had suggested a contractor that might be willing to do it at one of the last meetings in the spring. So both Steve and Frank are familiar with the project. It's been a project that Bob really wanted to see done, but there was not very much focused activity on it because of not being able to get the first step done.
And the goal here is to dig out all this dirt, or is to dig out so the 1 foot in height becomes 3 foot in height? What are we trying to do here?
He's trying to put in new piers and framing to support, because underneath there's concerns about this, how well it's supporting underneath. That you don't want the building to cave in. And actually this is, the house on 2 doors down from the old town hall?
Yeah.
That's been, it's a similar age building.
Right.
And when they first came in and started working there, the first thing they did, when I first looked in the door, they removed all the floorboards and went in and dug out the dirt, which seemed like a really practical way to go about it. So they did the same project. They reframed the floorboards. Well, first I think they poured a cement foundation and then reframed from the cement up, and then put in all the joists and put the new floor down. So they had the same issues going on as we have in the old town hall. But this approach of digging it out hasn't really appealed. I think the last thing that Steve found is a vendor that could vacuum out the dirt. So that was,
And is this something that would have to be bid?
we, 3 phone calls. It's, I think this portion at 15,000 to do the dig out.
Okay. Well, as I remember, it's been a long time since I've been in that building. And it was a kind of a frightening place. I really think it would be helpful if somebody who's familiar with this building, this grant application, could meet us out there and explain it to us and show it to us so we can better understand what we're really getting involved with.
And it might be like, this is not, it's not time sensitive. I don't think this project should derail the activity, and maybe even doing an assessment on the building might really help guide the building committee and in determining what they would propose is the best way to approach this project. Because this, Bob, the original grant, the full grant that they requested, I think, was about $120,000. And the next, this is the initial step. And then they had further steps that would include redoing the kitchen area and rebuilding the access, and then I'm not sure what else, but I think Bob's goal was to have it as a space where people could use it, but we already are using it for storage. So until the storage issues, you can't use that building for anything until all the things in it have a new home.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of historical information. There's a historic closet. There's the safe with all the town records in there.
Right.
There's a lot of furniture and old benches and chairs and knickknacks. And so I don't know. I think it's I think it's good to understand it, but I don't think you should feel pressure to jump right on this project until you've had a chance to evaluate other situations in town and prioritize what needs to be done first. Because the building's not going anywhere.
Yep. Okay.
So when was it decided or determined that there were these, I'll call them structural issues?
Like you said, that engineering report, I think it's from the 90s.
1999.
And prior to that, I think during the 90s, they did put a new roof on it. But so see, what happened is somebody, in 1972, it was used for the kindergarten. Before they moved, before they built the new building, the new school that was built in the 70s. And then it was renovated in the 90s. But someone forgot to turn the water off before winter came, and the plumbing just got destroyed. So I think it would be worth it, maybe if we have a chance on the 16th, I could take you over there to see the building, or at some meeting. It doesn't have to be that day because I do have a 5:30 meeting, I think. No, I don't. It'll be this meeting. So we could go look at it, and then you could, little by little put your thoughts together. But I think you need to have a tour of the building, see its current condition, get some of the report, get a copy of that grant out to everybody so you can see what Bob had put together. He was definitely the driver of this project. And his hopes were that it could be used as a meeting room or an event venue. But like I said, the storage is a huge issue. The last town clerk put together a record storage. Spent 2 years working with a committee and put together all the data showing what is needed, how much space the town needs, because we don't have any storage space here at Town Hall either. And we have mold issues in the basement here. The old Town Hall, some of the people that go there always wear, like a gas mask or a heavy duty mask because of the mildew and mold in the air. But we have a lot of data. We have temperature data, and we have a dehumidifier and a mini split now in the safe. And that was put in by the old building committee before they started working on this project. So it's definitely a very interesting, important building. But I think that the committee really needs to establish what it wants to do, but you can't do that unless you inventory all the buildings first, I think.
Okay, so I have this grant, which I can send to everyone. So Matteo sent that to me, so I can send that to everyone. And makes sense to me to evaluate all the buildings and then decide. So I will let Matteo tell him that we are going to perform our building assessment of the buildings, including Town Hall, before we proceed any further.
Okay.
Stephen, looking at that grant, they never got awarded the other monies. Is that correct? Is that the only part that was awarded, the 34,000?
Correct. Well, the way it says, the CPA funds are the dig out 15,000, the piers 5,000, the framing 15,000. And then it has demolition disposal cleanup. There's no separate number for that. And then other funds was management 5,000, which Bob Groves was essentially donating his time. So that's the 5,000. But then there's the engineering, which is another 4,000.
And I think we have in our minute notes who the engineer was. I just can't recall his name.
But it, in the what Matteo sent to me was that the building committee, the Shutesbury Building Committee, apparently had access to $4,000.
So over the years, there have been an ongoing list of projects, some that got done. So there would usually, and so at different times, the building committee would request funds at town meeting. And I'm just looking up the last. Let's see. So I think there was about $20,000 left. We had, because the projects, some of that money needs to go for the window, the town clerk's window. And then there's a couple other projects that haven't been reached to that were in the works. Yep, it's so we have a building renovations account, which is the money that I think that the building committee has used to do a series of smaller projects. And the balance in there right now is $21,635.51. And like I said, that's the new window for the town clerk's office is slated to come out of there. And I'll have to maybe read back through the minutes to see what else, but that definitely never got done. And then some other projects. Oh, the covers, well, yeah. So that's the pot of money that we use to do smaller projects. And when it gets down to about under 5,000, we ask for some more. But not a lot of projects have gotten done in the last 5 years.
And to use that 21,000, does there have to be a town meeting vote?
No, because there already was.
Okay,
So, so it's already in the budget, and if the building committee decides that we need to like repaint a particular building or a small building, or something, or get a chimney, you know, have somebody come back out and put the flashing around the chimney at town hall, that money can be used for those kind of things. And we had an issue in the elevator at town hall where there's a lot of dead flies. And it turned out the town hall was leaking in the back near the elevator. And we ended up getting the roofers out, and we had to pay them to repair it. And then we had the whole roof replaced about 4 or 5 years ago. But flies are showing up in the elevator again, which is a sign there's water again. So I think before it gets out of control and there's 100,000 dead flies on the floor, we might want to look at and get the roofer back out there to check if we have new leaks.
okay.
Yep, so that's the big takeaway is there is money to do projects.
All right, so I think we can move on from that. I noticed in my notes last meeting that Frank had requested we discuss the painting of particular areas of the school, the elementary school. But I think since he's not here, maybe we do that another time. I haven't seen it. Maybe that's something, as part of our assessment, we'll
Yeah.
when we get to the elementary school.
Exactly. It's too late in the year to paint.
Yeah. Anyone have any other business?
Whatever happened with the Gale proposal?
Select board signed, and we're on Chris put us on the calendar. He hasn't confirmed. He said it would be a couple of weeks. So he put us on the schedule, but I don't know where we fell on the schedule yet. So hopefully that their work is going to begin in the next, by next week.
Okay.
And they're going to let us know relative to when they're going to be in the attic, so we can go in the attic.
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as I hear from them, I'll let everyone know. And as far as the heating system that we've been working on all summer, I had an update first thing Monday that all systems were working. And then I had a call from the school that it was, the heat wasn't on. So it turned out that Matt had turned off the boilers, so turning them back on, it took a long time for it to get warm on Monday, coming from 0. But they shouldn't have to turn the heaters off manually. They shouldn't have to turn the boilers off anymore. They'll be able to control them remotely and monitor them. So I think the report's improved. But they don't have the training yet. The custodian hasn't had his training yet, and there's still some open issues. The glycol that was drained out of the system is still on location and has not yet been picked up. But that was, but it's scheduled and it should be happening I better check in by Friday if I can, or Monday. So the project seems to be wrapping up okay. The problem that the principal is flagging is she has not been impressed with Jamrog over the last, because it was their job to finish up. So hopefully we get some better feedback on Jamrog. I'm going to try to talk to them and see what's going on. But they, at this point, we don't have another vendor locally that knows our new system. Jamrog's the local HVAC contractor.
How do you spell that?
JAMROG.
Okay. Anything else? Do I hear a motion that we close this meeting?
Make a motion, we close it.
Second.
Everyone say aye.
Aye, aye,
Aye.
aye.
Okay, so at this point, I'll send out an email, but we're looking at showing up at the Spear Library on the 16th at 3:30.
Great.
Okay.
And I'll give Mary Ann the heads up we're coming,
Okay, thank you.
so she
Thank you.
can make room for us.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.